this is seriously worrying. These people are members of, a lot of them, the English Defence League. They support people like the so-called Tommy Robinson man. These are fascists, and overwhelmingly, it seems as well, many of them are racists. They have no regard for law at all. And I'm afraid the truth is Brexit has unleashed these people. This is Britain now. This is not the Britain I know and love. And these people do not represent our country, and they need sorting out.
Now let's get more on the news that Commons Speaker John Bercow has described the abuse and harassment of MPs outside Parliament as a type of fascism and called for a change of policing policy. He said recent incidents, including Tory MP Anna Soubry being verbally abused during our interview with her yesterday, were intolerable. Well, Anna Soubry has spoken to the BBC in the past few minutes. To our Home Affairs correspondent, Danny Shaw.
Oh, I mean, I'm fine. I'm going about my business as I normally do, and I'm looking forward to getting into the chamber and voting in the finance bill very soon.
What have the police told you about the events yesterday and your safety? Well,
their understanding of things is that there's no threat to my safety, and I take them at their word. I think the real concern is the threat to democracy, if I may say. The idea and the aim is to shut people up like me, and it's also to stop you guys from doing your job, which can't be right in a free, robust democracy as we all believe in. And I have no problem with people protesting, and we can see them. These are the responsible, representing the overwhelming majority of Leave voters, and of course the Remain supporters are behind them. That's been going on for a long time. This is a very small group of far-right extremists who just want to undermine democracy. I think the concern, especially from a lot of my colleagues, in particular the Labour colleagues who've been very generous and very kind and supportive, is about Joe Cox. Because, of course, the person that murdered Joe Cox wasn't the sort of person who comes and hangs around Parliament, but it was almost empowered by those types of extremists in our society that, unfortunately, Brexit's uncovered. It's not created, they've just uncovered them. And it's sort of almost given people almost a feeling that they have a right to speak and behave like that. And in a free society, in a great democracy, they don't, because they're trying to undermine democracy.
But feelings run very high and passions run very high, and people can shout, can't they?
Oh, of
people
course.
Can accuse you of a number of things, can't they?
Of course they can. Of course they can. And none of us, I certainly don't have a problem at all with a good, lively, robust debate. One of my constituents came up to me before Christmas and he gave it to me both barrels, if you like, telling me exactly what I thought. It was rather rude. I wouldn't complain about it for one moment. It wouldn't even enter my head to ring the police or make any form of complaint. There's nothing wrong with that. In a democracy, we want people to be able to speak to their politicians, and we want people to be able to protest. What's been happening has gone way beyond that, but it's a minority. It's a very small group of right-wing extremists. We know how they behave. They racially abuse people, and they do seem to pick on women. So we all know where they're coming from. It's a tiny minority. We ought to see it for that.
Haven't there been people on the other side as well, though, who have been attacking Brexit supporters?
Well, if they have, I'm not aware of this sort of behaviour, but it doesn't matter. It's all unacceptable. Doesn't matter who it is, doesn't matter who it's aimed at, it is unacceptable. And I have to say, I am not aware of broadcasters being targeted in the way that has happened. So Laura Koonsberg was run the gauntlet of them in December. Kay Burley from Sky, Faisal Islam has been racially abused by these people. And of course your crews have to put up with it as well. It is not acceptable in a modern democracy. There's a very clear distinction between peaceful, lawful protest and robust debate, holding MPs to account, and it can be face-to-face. And some of the scenes that we have seen in the last 6 weeks here at Parliament, and your viewers know that, and so do the police. The problem has been a lack of action by the police.
I was going to ask you that. Do you feel let down by the police, in particular the events yesterday?
Yeah, definitely yesterday. And I'm not calling for them to go and arrest this person or the rest of it. I know that the police have the right powers and they have the skills, and most of them have the common sense to know how to police, keep people safe whilst supporting democracy, how to do it. Yesterday they didn't do it. Yesterday they did the wrong thing where they completely refused to intervene. So one of your producers, I knew nothing about this until afterwards, had said, I think you should escort her across the road, and went and approached those two police officers who refused to do that. And I think that speaks volumes.
Are you reassured by the statement that police have made today about intervening when necessary?
I think the Met know they've made a policy decision that was wrong, and it looks like they've changed that policy decision. If I could put it this way, a senior police officer in Nottinghamshire, I won't say who, has contacted me, and it's absolutely clear that my Nottinghamshire police would have behaved very differently. I'm not saying they would have arrested anybody. They would have maintained law and order. They would have allowed me to say what I wanted to say. They would have allowed broadcasters like your good selves to carry on broadcasting, and they would have allowed me to go unimpeded about my course of work. That's all we asked for.
Is this going to change what you do, your habits, the route you take to Parliament? Because this debate is clearly going on for some days.
Well, I have been coming into and leaving Parliament through a different entrance, but these people are not around today, so I'm going absolutely to use the entrance that I normally use, and we can't be intimidated. This is a very small group of extremists, and whether they come from left or right, we must not be intimidated. We must not let our great democracy be undermined in any way by these extremists.
Anna Soubry talking after those events yesterday. Well, let's speak now to the Conservative MP, Anna Soubry, who has her support team along with her as they shout.
You should apologise for the noise, and I apologise to you, because you probably can't hear anything.
Speak up.
Anyway, speak
right,
up.
now.
Go on.
So, vote next Tuesday. I spoke to you...
Well, we're assuming there'll be a vote next Tuesday. She has to get this through Parliament. She has to get the new programme motion through Parliament. I'm being really serious about this. Everybody's saying it's going to be next Tuesday.
Well, she's saying that.
And of course the Prime Minister is saying, but she does have to get a programme motion through on Wednesday to have a 5-day debate. We've had 3 days and it's now being resumed. So in theory, 2 more days, we could have this vote on Thursday or Friday.
Here you are, all rested. You've had your break. You've been speaking to your constituents, I have no doubt. Has anything changed since December the 11th?
No, most importantly, nothing's changed for the Prime Minister, and she's not changed either. I think people obviously are fed up. Of course they are with Brexit, and they want to know where we are, but increasingly they are getting worried about Brexit. And that's why we are seeing a movement in the polls, and people are now looking that the best way through all of this, take it back to the British people and have the people's vote.
With massive respect, you would say that, wouldn't you? Because that's what you have always said. What do you say to those...
Actually, no, I came to the people's vote quite late in all of this, as we all did, because we explored all the other options, and we came overwhelmingly to the conclusion that this is the only way forward.
But on the basis that nothing has changed, it seems, across this debate, how confident are you that that will change anything, given that the country still appears as split as it was a month to 3 months ago?
No, you make a good point, and that's why I think that the 5-day debate, we've had 3 debates, should be concluded with 2 more days of debate. We should then have the vote this week, because the clock is ticking and every day counts. And in the event of the impasse, then we need to have proper votes as to what could be acceptable to Parliament. We need a positive vote against no deal, and in the event of an impasse, which I think there will be, get this matter back to the British people as soon as possible.
Well, at the moment, the feeling seems to be here that if there's an impasse, if there's a vote against, she will go away, she'll come back and say, let's have another vote because I've got perhaps another concession from the EU. This could go on for a while.
No, and that's why that's the other thing that has now got to happen, is we have to be absolutely... I do object to being called a Nazi, actually.
Right. Well, apologies if you're offended by what you're listening to.
I just think this is astonishing. This is what has happened to our country, actually. This is what's happened to our country. But anyway, let's try and move on and be positive about things. She can't keep coming back with the same motion. She can't tweak a word of it or anything else. What we need is to get this determination on her deal. And I would say to Theresa, if you're confident about your deal, get it back to the British people. Let them determine whether or not they want it.
We seem to hear from everybody what they don't want to happen. 200 people signing a letter saying they don't want a no-deal Brexit. Nobody seems to know this is what we do want.
Yeah, well,
and that's what the public's problem is.
I know, but I think there are a lot of people now who realise actually the best deal that we have is the deal that we currently have with the European Union as a member of the European Union. They're seeing the benefits of it. They're beginning to appreciate. And this is, of course, including members of Parliament who didn't really appreciate the benefits, for example, to trade, of fictionless trade in particular for our manufacturing sector. That's the point about the Caroline Spellman Jack Jomie letter. is this growing realisation of the huge benefits that membership of the EU conveys for everybody in the United Kingdom.
What you want to happen will require time, it will require postponement of Article 50, and it will require every single member of the EU to say, yes, we agree to this.
I think they've already said that is that they will extend Article 50 if we want a people's vote. That's
they
a
do
given.
that for a referendum.
Yeah.
OK, so if there is a referendum, and it's still an if,
Of course.
should there be a 75% marker on it, below which it doesn't work?
No, same rules as we had last time. And let's be really clear about something else as well, is that if it's a choice, as it should be in my view, between remaining in the European Union or Mrs May's deal, if people vote for Theresa's deal, that genuinely is the end of the matter. That's it, because they've positively voted for her deal, which is apparently the best deal we can get. I think there's some truth in that. And then there is a positive, affirmative mandate for the Prime Minister. And frankly, for people like me, that is the end of it. And I think I genuinely speak on behalf of many millions of people who voted Remain, the other millions that now see the sense of it going back to the British people. But we have that Remain or Mrs May's deal vote. That is it.